Okay, we'll call the committee of the whole meeting for Monday, May 10th to order at 12:30 p.m. Ask for a motion from Councillor Cooey that the committee of the whole adopt the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting May 10th, 2021 as presented.
I will give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes from April 26th. That's for a motion from Councillor Moore that committee of the whole adopt the minutes from April 26th, 2021 committee of the whole meeting as presented.
I will give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And I'll hand it straight over to Cody if you can keep a straight face.
That's going to be a tough one. Which one do you want to start off with? Do you have anything on the agenda for which item?
Flagpoles first.
Flagpoles, okay. So I come to you guys today to basically kind of be a briefing on the old flagpoles at the fire station. We were approached by the Turner Valley Legion through Deputy Chief Allen's wife, who's kind of a bit of a liaison with them. Anyways, right now they have a couple of pieces of drill stem that they're using for their flagpoles at the Legion. And with our project at the fire hall, the three flagpoles that are currently at the bell tower are slated to be replaced as they're 20 years old now, and they don't have any of the internal mechanisms to raise and lower the flags. So they're already slated to be replaced. And they approached us to see if we'd be able to maybe donate our used flagpoles. It'd be better than what they currently have when we go and replace those ones. So just come to you guys kind of as a bit of an information piece. That currently our town policy on asset disposal allows for us to donate it to nonprofits and societies and stuff like that. We just thought it was pertinent to let you all know what we were doing there with the flagpoles, and if there was any questions or comments surrounding that.
Good by me. Any comments? Hang on, let me get to the. I don't have any hands up, so all good.
Perfect. Onwards and upwards. The next one is I've got a bit of a direction request here in regards to the project at the fire station. So currently the asphalt at the fire hall parking lot, I would call it the south end of the existing building. Everything south of that was in scope to have it reworked. But when the project was priced out, they never looked at doing any of the existing north section of the fire station, so including in front of the apparatus bays and then along 5A Street. So I'm coming to council today to get some direction on council's thoughts on actually milling that asphalt out and relaying it. So they would mill out 50 millimeters of asphalt, basically from the south edge of the building, kind of up to the north side of the parking lot area there. I think there's some pictures in your presentation there that'll kind of maybe hopefully paint a bit of a picture as to where that is, and then lay 50 millimeter of new asphalt down. That existing asphalt we figure is about 1996, 1995. So it's starting to get pretty dished out and stuff. And in the future here, we will be requiring to do that asphalt at some point. So we thought it might be pertinent that if they're already doing the south asphalt, to tie it all in, that we don't end up with seams and issues going forward in the future, should we choose to do it later on. And then the other piece that come about was the 5A extension, which basically stretches from along the berm in between us and the one home there and ties into 10th Avenue. That piece of road is never been done since it was originally laid. So it's beat up pretty bad and would be, again, a good opportunity for us to mill that out and then relay 50 up to the corner of 10th Avenue. We've got some preliminary numbers in here, ranging about that, that $60,000 to $75,000, depending on if we choose to do just in front of the fire station or we choose to go all the way up 5A Street. So the contractor's original fees would be about $50,000 just for the north side. And then if we choose to do 5A Street, it would add between $10,000 and $15,000 tentatively. Now, with that being said, that doesn't take into account if they mill and they find an issue with the substrate or something like that, there could be some additional costs on that. So that's kind of just the mill and the fill piece to that project. So we've got a drain that's in the alleyway there that's sunk in that we're going to have to do some repair work on as the manhole covers drop 2 to 3 inches. So we've got it all flagged off, painted now. So we just thought that this would be an opportunity for us to kind of take care of it. And the pricing that we got back through Scott Builders was a reasonable price. In speaking with some of our internal folks like Tom and those guys with the current asphalt prices for milling, it seems to be on par. So.
Questions from council? Sounds good to me. Just, I don't know, my mind, we're doing good on budget, Chris, on that whole project, that we can get this in pretty easily and just have it, do it right. We're in there now, so let's get it done properly. And there's nothing worse than getting it done in 2 years. You're coming back and trying to.
That's correct. We've got about, Mayor Snodgrass, we have about $1.6 million remaining in the budget. So we can certainly accommodate that. And we would be saving about, as the report says, about $10,000 in mobilization fees. So if we were to come and do it in 2 phases, we'd be spending another $10,000 just on remobiling to the site. So doing it all one fell swoop, it saves us about that $10K.
Okay, sounds good. Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. I'm gonna assume that there's substrate issues there. This price that we have isn't the price that's going to be the completion of this thing. Now, I know there's lots of money in the budget, but on my time in council, I would like more holistic approach to projects. Now, I'm not pointing a finger at Cody or anybody else. It's just, we knew there was old asphalt there. Did somebody managing this project not look at it and go, hey, maybe this should be included? I just think we can be better at that going forward. I have no problem fixing the old asphalt, but I think there is something bigger than fixing the asphalt. It's how we manage projects. I just wanted to bring that up, that maybe we could have some eyes that are a little bit more open. Thank you.
Councillor Nychuk, that's a valid point. I believe when we first took over this project last June, I think the budgets were quite a bit higher and expecting higher estimates to come in. And I think some of these portions were cut out of the budget from a cost efficiency perspective to get it within the original 7.2 that council had allocated previously in late 2018, early 2019. And then when we saw the pricing come in below that $5 million mark for all these projects, it gave us some opportunities. So, but noted.
Yeah, if it was there, that's great. Just to make sure that all the little details are looked after, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
All good, Cody. No other
Perfect.
questions? Let her rip.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Good points, Michael. Good to go. Thank you, sir. Open question and answer, council. If you got anything, Kathy?
Thanks, Craig. Just a little further to that conversation. I guess what I would like to encourage is if there's something like that that maybe isn't in the budget, then I think it's worth coming back to council to look at an increase or something. Just, it doesn't make sense to leave that little patch. I mean, I think it's worked out well, but I'm kind of same as Michael. Why wasn't it included initially? And I appreciate why it wasn't. But even at the 7.3, did it make sense? And this might project, they did come back, but does it make sense to come back and have that conversation rather than leave it out? That's all I'm saying is, and we could still say no, or we could say yes, but I just think it makes sense to have that conversation rather than just leave it out because it's got to fit in the dollars.
Makes sense. Carol was next.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Just the other day when I was looking at the old fast gas site on, what is it, Center and Third, there's now this new restaurant that's being prepared. There's Fancy Greek Restaurant or something it's called. But I was just wondering, I don't recall that area getting reclamated. Like, do any of you remember that? Seeing as it's an old service station? Kathy's nodding, Don's nodding, Jamie, okay. So I must have just forgotten about that. That was just my question.
I do remember them digging up all the old tanks and everything were taken out of there for sure. I don't know what
Well,
else.
that's what I wondered though, like, because I remember seeing them digging them up, but isn't there a separate process that happens?
Well, I know this a little bit because of one of the sites we were looking at to build the new funeral home. It depends what you're doing and what you're building as to how much remediation actually has to be done. So maybe this fits into the parameters of that. But
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. I've got a bit of a list if anybody else has others. I can go last if you want.
You're last then.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question to Chris. 12th Avenue Southwest, they're back in there cutting virtually every corner, the concrete out in the walkway and everything. That was just completed last year. Can you enlighten me what's going on over there?
That's a good question. I know that they're going through deficiency checks and redoing some of the stuff that failed testing, but I'll get back to you on that, Councillor Kinghorn.
Yeah, it's pretty much every intersection it looks like, and the trail is awkward to use the way it is right now. Thanks.
Councillor Moore.
Yes, Chris, is there any word on the ground on the wayfinding signs?
We've got a verbal from staff that they see no problems with it, but it still has not been it still has not been sent to the minister for final approval on the agreement. So that's where it stands. We're staff at the province has assured us that it would not be an issue, but it is still up to the minister to give the final approval on that extension. So
It seems to me to be all about red tape at this point of time, which they are supposed to be reducing. They're making more. The other thing is on the High Country Drive extension. When is the work going to be completed to fix that road up again?
I will have to find out the timeline for that, Councillor Moore. I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councillor Cooey.
Thanks. Chris, I know we chatted briefly about this the other day, but I should have asked for a little bit more detail. The new lands that we annexed in the Northeast, I know that there's a conversation about coming to council for a meeting regarding subdividing and ASPs. I just didn't know what that was going to look like, if it would be a delegation, a special meeting, and kind of if there is a timeline.
I believe Kara's been communicating with them. We put them through to connect. I think it's going to be a delegation. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kara, or are they coming to a COW meeting?
Nope, that's correct. We have them scheduled to come to the first meeting in June. So I have been in touch with their agent and that process has been set up. So you will see them the first meeting in June.
Great, thanks, Kara.
Okay, all yours, Michael.
Thank you, sir. First one was I sent an email. I talked to Craig about this too. Holy Spirit Academy grade 6 had done a petition against open top mining on the eastern slopes. They brought it to me. I sent an email wanting to include it to receive as information in the council meeting this afternoon. Is that just something you want me to ask to add to the agenda at the beginning of that meeting?
I don't think it needs to be added to the agenda, Michael, because we have the standing agenda item under the coal policy stuff. So we can
Okay.
deliver it bring it in at that point in time. Because there's also one other piece that I'm bringing in from our meeting on Friday as well. So we can just bring it in under 8.1.
I did copy and scan it just so I think everybody received it. If I get a nod, I just want to make sure. I've kind of been questioning that my email wasn't working lately. But okay.
Yeah, no, we all
Thank you
got
for
it.
that. That's awesome. I just thought it was really cool that a group of young people in our community, without any push from any of us, from anybody else other than their own initiative, did that. Just outstanding. Top lifts in Northwest. High Park Circle was one I brought up. There's that other piece that's been ongoing. Do we have any indication on progress for either of those two?
Engineering was informed me on Friday that they're still waiting on the timeline from the developer and the owner and the engineer to coordinate with their paving contractor. So that was supposed to be in. We've apparently signed off on the work to be done, and they were just waiting on the time frame for them.
All right.
Just Councillor, if I could back up to the petition, it is specifically on the agenda under 8.2 by itself. So
okay. Thank you. Thank you. Next one, behind Fifth Avenue. Now I know it's private property, don't know who owns it. There's a vehicle that's abandoned that's been sitting there for well over a year. I think it's a black Ford Taurus. But the cab company that faces onto Fifth on that south side of the street also has a car that is in a little bit of disrepair that's there. I'm just wondering if we can do anything so we don't end up with a derelict car park location. Since we have two cars now sitting there. Just an observation anyway, just some housekeeping. Next one is Beaver.
Glad you brought that up, Michael, because it is the one vehicle's just been abandoned there. I don't think it has anything to do with whoever owns the property at all. Windows have been smashed out of it. And now the cab company, they've kind of ditched one of their wrecked vehicles sitting there too. So it's starting to become that piece. So.
I know where the first vehicle came from. It was a renter above, there's some rental apartments above High River Denture Clinic. Yeah. And that person was a resident there and they've moved out of the community and just don't want that car anymore apparently. So.
Okay. Good.
There's not much we can do when it's private property. It's, anyway, maybe Chris can help us with that. Keep going. Good.
Yeah, I'll get that. I'll send that over to bylaw.
Beavers in the pond at Riverside. Just thought I'd bring that up because I've never seen beavers in that pond yet. My dog really likes them, but it's starting to get a little bit of tree vegetation around it and whatnot. And I think I'm not sure what we could do with that one, but we always seem to have them moving around the community at this time of the year. So Last year, we did some repairs on happy trails around the pond in the northwest. And there's a couple of, throughout happy trails in the community. There's routes that are pushing up through. Are we looking at those again this year? Are we going to kind of? I'm not sure if they're on the list, or can we make those on the list? Or
They are not on the list. The focus this year was concrete sidewalk replacement, not asphalt. But we can do another inspection up there and see how bad they actually are.
Because there was some that got done last year. Thank you very much. And some of the ones that were done last year are kind of the same condition as the ones that are there. And I'm not, I just like them to get put on the, so if it's a 2022 thing, that we're picking these things up and we're planning and budgeting appropriately. The last couple I have are crosswalks. One is at Notre Dame. We've got a school zone there that's signed, but can we look at, I don't know if we can improve that signage, because the sign that is on the south side of the street when you're going east, right beside the townhouses, there's always, I mean, it's a highly dense residential, right? So everybody parks in front of those townhouses and you can't see the sign. Coming the other way, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But just maybe something to look at, because we always seem to have a speed issue there, and being transparent, I do live right there. So I see it a lot, and we have had our school zone speed at 30K 24/7 for quite some time in the community now. So it would just be nice, maybe people need to be able to see the signage better in those locations, not just there, but anywhere through town. And the last one is Holy Spirit rather, on the other side of town, really likes the solar array crosswalk lights that we have in a few locations in town. And we're wondering if they might be able to get a set somewhere in the future with their crosswalk that they do see a lot of foot traffic on. There's a fairly decent residential population across the street, and lots of kids do walk to school there. They do have crosswalk monitors and teachers that are out on those locations for the really high traffic points, but maybe a consideration somewhere down the road, this year, next year, the year after, just to look at those various points throughout the community. I think that kind of technology is coming down in price, and maybe we can make that an attribute, not only there, but a few spots in town where we've got people walking and crossing streets. That's my list, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael. So Chris, can you confirm again, you said that on the paving projects in the northwest there, that engineering has signed off for them to get the paving going?
That is what I've been informed, and that they're waiting on their engineers, the developer's engineers, on the time frame for the paving contractor to come in.
Okay.
So
Okay.
That's the information. That's the most recent update that I've received.
Okay. And Councillor Masterman.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. So I just have a really quick question, and it's actually concerning something that Councillor Cooey brought to our attention last week. The dead fish in the outflow going into Sunshine, and I'm just wondering when notes like that are sent from councillors, whether there's follow-up, whether anybody was notified. I did send a note to Fish and Wildlife, but I think they're probably so sick of hearing from me that they don't really consider my emails too seriously anymore. And so I'm just hoping that maybe the town of High River could actually contact Fish and Wildlife and indicate. And I did send the pictures that Councillor Cooey had sent as well. I didn't see the fish myself. I can't identify them other than they're fish. And but it could be the indication of something bigger, a problem of some kind. And so I just think it would be good if somebody official was to follow up with Fish and Wildlife on that. Thanks.
Back to Kathy.
Yeah, just further to that, I didn't actually go by on the weekend, but as of Friday, those fish were still floating there. So I worry about somebody's dog or just, it's gonna get gross at some point, I anticipate. Or because they aren't flowing into Sunshine, which is maybe good or bad, but they're just caught in that little pool. So maybe we could even just go fish the dead fish out.
I'll follow up with operations and contact Fish and Wildlife for council.
No further questions? So we got meeting adjourned 12:55.